Okay, we're live here. This is actually just kind of an experiment to see if you guys are actually awake at this time. Are there anybody awake right now? Now it's a little bit earlier in the afternoon for our friends over in the UK, so everyone should be up over there. But our people here in America, I don't know. I don't know if you guys are awake right now. Shouldn't be a lot. Maybe some people waking up, maybe getting ready to go into work early. So maybe while you drink your morning coffee, go ahead and sit down, have a chit chat, get you guys prepped and ready for when Jonah J comes back. Get used to being up early with me. So I'm excited about that, guys. I hope you are too. I really, really do. Because it's going to be fun. Who doesn't like when we did the Jonah J show? I always enjoyed that series and that segment. Oh, I guess I shouldn't say always, but it's gonna be enjoyable. Sip's crazy as usual. I'm crazy as usual. So it should be a lot of fun. Gotta think of a place that'd be good to go metal detecting. I had an idea, like I said, that back area by Fort Campbell, but I don't know if that's going to be a prime spot. It may not be the best place to go for that. But, oh, we got one person hanging out, so make sure you jump in the chat and say hello. Kind of lonely just sitting here, not sure. Kind of early, I felt like going live. I don't know, just felt like hanging out and talking some more with you guys and see what everybody was up to in the morning. Hopefully some people are waking up for work and everything like that, and they wanted some time to say hello. I know Troy used to stop in early on here on the live streams when he would drive into work, and that was always enjoyable. So, okay. Well, again, just one person hanging out, so please jump in, say something. It helps move things along. But if not, we'll just figure out something to talk about. I'll come up with something. This is okay. I understand the game keeps closing. I'm not trying to play it right now. Oh, Tina. All right. Well, yeah, I tried to go a little early for you guys. Just wanted to try to do this. So when the morning show coming up at the beginning of March comes back again, the Joe and a Jay morning show. I want you guys to realize this will probably be close to the time when this is all going to be happening. So I figured do another test run, get you guys used to maybe seeing this kind of a schedule for a few times. Because that whole week I'll be try to do two. We'll do a morning and a night show. So mornings of maybe Joe and a Jay, and then night shows, of course, doing something else. Or maybe uploading what we did for the day afterward. So there you go. So yeah, a little different timing for you. Maybe you're having your afternoon coffee, sitting down to a little bit of lunch or something. A little change of pace. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of people on right now, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm sure people are at work and busy, over in the UK at least. I always have time to burn, Tina. Yep. At the local parks. See, some parks around here, like there was a spot I want to go to where we went. Let's see, where I went and I tested the phone in the river to make sure it was advertised as waterproof. Now there's a difference between water resistant and waterproof, and a lot of people get that confused. And don't let that ever get you. Look at this. I tried to wet my hair for the live stream and I missed all of this in the back, and it's still puffy. See, not so much over here. Hold on a second. Let's do this. I refuse to have the puffy hair for this live stream. There we go. Hold on. This is so juvenile. Okay. All right, there we go. It's like a sponge. All right. There we go. No more puffiness. All right, so the parks around here, unfortunately, have a no metal detecting sign up. So I'm not allowed to do that. Now, it was when we went gold panning, I think it was a little different, as I wasn't trying to detect. I reasoned it as I was trying to extract, which is totally different than detecting. I wasn't trying to detect gold, I was trying to find it. It's two different things. With a metal detector, you are attempting to detect metal. I was attempting to harvest it. So I was able to say that's within reason, and at least that if somebody showed up, I could have argued my way into the saying, well, this is how I interpreted that, and they can tell you no, and I'm like, okay, well, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. So I think I was okay with it, and we were in the stream, so prove it. But yeah. So I think, hold on, let me use this to get the camera up a little higher. There we go. 2 people watch. I'm trying to figure out who's our other person. I don't know if I know this person or not. Let me see. Participants? No, it's just you and me. Tina, Bobina. What are you up to this morning, Tina? Just you and me? We'll just have a chat. What are you doing? You just hanging out? How's the weather? Is it cold there? I would imagine it is. Did you know only recently I found out in the UK you guys use miles? I always thought you guys used kilometers. But I guess that's a European thing, not necessarily a British thing, and I had no idea. Shattered my world. It goes against everything we all taught. I've talked to people and I've said this to them. Did you know this? And they were like, what? No. I'm like, yeah, I know, right? Yep. But you guys do use 220 voltage over there. I do know that. I have a few inverters left over from when I went overseas. There's somewhere around here. I have a box that I kept all my stuff I needed for deployments. Oh, another one trickles in. Welcome, welcome. A little early morning, it might be late afternoon or early afternoon for you. I don't know where in the world you are. I don't know where in the world. Carmen Sandiego. Do you guys remember where in the world? Good morning, David. Why are you up? The question is, David, I haven't gone to sleep yet. So that's the difference. Is I'm not up early. I just haven't gone to sleep yet. I have no intention of going to sleep until probably around at least 8 o'clock tonight. So I was bored, and that's why I came back on early. Nothing going on. I don't want to sit and watch useless TV. I figured coming at least talking to you guys is something productive. And as long as we're doing something productive and hanging out and having a time and making a video, it feels like it's a better wasting my life with you guys. Better instead of just sitting here doing nothing. And that would be retarded. So, yeah. I told you I don't sleep a whole lot. Nah. Okay, David. Well, hey, go study hard, learn, be good. Brush your teeth. Well, we do have 3, but the difference about our plugs, and sometimes ours have 2, but the difference between our plugs and your plugs is, hold on. That's how ours look. That's our 2 prongs. Just those 2. Now, if it has a third one, it'll be a round one on the bottom here, right about there. That'll come out, and that's your ground. But this one is a 2-prong. But your guys is, I think, is 2 on the side and then the flat one on the top, so it kind of makes like a square plug. Very familiar with those, and I have several adapters from the airport. I still hang on to those. You never know when you're going to need them again. I mean, I don't plan to travel out of country anytime soon. I guess maybe go to the UK or something, but most of these stuff right here now, most of that stuff you can just buy basic adapters and it usually works just fine. And I do have one adapter, so it wouldn't be an issue. Wouldn't be an issue at all. Yep, the 3 pens. Isn't it cool how it's just different? Now, see, if I tried to plug in basically like something basic of our stuff into yours without an inverter, it would blow it up. I had a buddy when we were in Iraq, and we had the 220 power instead of the 110. And he goes, "Hey man, can I plug this amp in?" And I look over, because I was the generator guy, so I'm very familiar with like the electrical power hookups and everything. And I look over at it, I read the top, and I'm like, no, you can't plug it in. And he goes, oh, and plugs it in. Turns on his amp, hooks the guitar, hits one note, where? Smoke. He goes, what? I'm like, dude, you just fried your amp. He was like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Hopefully you just blew a fuse, man." And we opened it up. Nah, he smoked the magnet. And I was like, "Why would you do that?" He was like, "I don't know." I'm like, "I had just told you don't plug it in." He goes, "Oh, yeah." That was a good friend of mine. I'm a good guy. Uh, Stork. Yeah. I'm not gonna say his first name, but Stork. It was pretty funny. I don't know. I don't know what like he was. I guess maybe he thought I was joking, but he asked me, "Can I plug this in?" I only made sense to me. Well, oh, I'm the generator guy, so he expects me to know electricity, which he was correct. I did, and yeah, very clearly said 110, and it had a little wavy line 120. Like, so this is a 110 120 system. This is 220. You need an you definitely need a power inverter. And I told him that. I said, "No, you need an inverter." And I went back to what I was doing. It was just that simple. He asked me a question. Like, that's work-related questions. You're going to ask me work, I'm going to give you a quick, simple answer and get back to what I'm doing. I think I was hanging out playing a game with somebody else, so I was like, you're distracting me. No, you can't. Smoked it. I think it was like a $300 amp. He did a lot of crazy stuff, though. Stork was a really odd guy. He got hurt. This was funny. You want to hear something funny, Tina? Stork got hurt. And his foot. He hurt his foot. They put his foot in a cast or a wrap or something like that. And he couldn't run. So we were in Iraq. He still got to work, So what they did was they put him on a position where he was running the radio in the rear position where we stored the IRF team, which was what I was part of when I worked in Iraq. Is among the other. I did so many jobs when I was in Iraq. So when I tell you one of the jobs I did, it's because I was on what was called an ECP. So there was all these positions of that. There was 13 different positions you could work. Some of them had pieces of technology and equipment at each different one, and those were all these jobs I was learning to do. I could do all the jobs. I was the only person in the entire company of 300 people that could do all 13 jobs. So, highly technical trained. Point is, though, Stork was on the rear in the radio with all the trucks. IRF is an initial reaction force. Something happens, we're the first ones to go. So he was running the radio, which is a chill job. You're sitting at a desk inside, and, there was this little window. And then we had a covered area with some picnic tables for food and stuff. And he sits there, and he's got his foot elevated out the window, wrapped up. And so I'm sitting there, and Sip tells me, he's like, talk to him, distract him. Okay. So I'm sitting there, hey, shooting the breeze with him, talking for a second. Sip comes crawling up under the window, and he gets a lighter out. He's holding it to the kid's foot. And you see the kid kicking his foot. It's getting hot. It's getting hot. Ah! It was funny. I don't know. That was just funny stuff. There were just certain people that they were just so fun to pick on. And in the Army, it's not bullying. It's definitely you do it. Stork is one of my best friends, and there's only if I didn't like Stork, I wouldn't talk to people at all. That's how people know that I'm getting along with you, is I'm willing to make jokes about you, and I hope you're willing to make jokes about me. It's because I'm thick-skinned. I can take the jokes. Some people don't learn to take a joke, and I didn't used to be able to. If I could go back into the Army, would I? I remember asking my dad that question. And do you miss the Army? There are things that make me say, yes, I would go back. And I would love to go back. I'll always be a soldier in my heart. It just doesn't change. But there are things about it I didn't miss. It's almost similar with what was going on today. I called out. I got to a base and I knew what was right and I knew what was wrong. And even though I came from Fort Irwin, where it was a very laid-back military sense, but we all knew how to properly do our jobs and our paperwork and what was supposed to be done and how things are supposed to be done. And then I get to this big post for a new duty station. I mean, I've been with these guys for years, and I get to this, heart and joy, the pride of the military, or at least the Army, pride of the Army, 101st Airborne Division. That's big boots to fill. And I get there, and it's just so corrupt and dirty. And you try to speak up against it, and you're a drop in a bucket trying to make a noise. And the people who you're trying to let people know that are doing the wrong thing, they don't like that you're doing these. You're making these waves for them. So if I could go back to, I think a better question is if I could go back and do it all again, would I? Absolutely, and I wouldn't change a thing. Wouldn't change a thing. Maybe I wouldn't drink as much. That I would change. I would definitely do that. I wouldn't drink as much. Other than that, I would have stayed in Iraq if they would have let me. If it's not, I didn't. I volunteered. I was like, is there any way I can just stay here, keep doing this? And they said no. I liked it. I liked my situation there. It was life was simpler. It was more dangerous, sure, and there was mortars and things attacking, but no more different, I think, than any other day life. If you take out the fact that I wasn't driving anymore, the chance of me getting into a car accident went significantly down. So that risk to my life is probably avoided. So that might negate the mortars. So there was just so much more simpler. Life was easier. Well, I think life was more defined. I think that's what it was. It was life was clear on what the situation was, what was going on, who was really with what, and what was the problem was. Don't get me wrong, base had its issues. I was on a huge post. I was on Saddam's old Air Force base, and it had its share of problems. There was crime, of course, as usual, but again, not so bad. And I remember watching the news, and you'd hear stuff going on, and you're like, "Geez, this is what's going on in America." I'm glad I'm safe over here. We used to joke like that. We would be like, "Man, I'm glad I'm safe here in Iraq." I don't. It's crazy over there. You hear the news and it just reflects, and you're like, "Geez." Well, maybe that cow had it coming. Cows. Take out that one right there. Ooh, gone. Yeah. Hey, it happens. I saw a cow get hit or two. It happens. I was in a farming community. This is really weird. We called it cow surfing. What the kids in Iraq used to do is they would be, driving their herds down the road, and they had cows and goats and stuff. And what they would do is they would squat down to like a little kimchi knees up position, and they would grab the cow's tail, and they would get dragged by the cow sliding on their feet. They loved it. They seemed to do it a lot, so we called it cow surfing. Interesting. It was just different cultures. I'll never forget too. This one time, this kid came walking up to my fence line that I was guarding with Sip in the 113. Kid's kind of leaning up against the fence and everything. No, no, no. The cows never. Oh, well, yeah. It was night night, and he was out of the country. The farm. I would imagine no. The farmer wasn't happy when you shot his cow. I mean, back then a cow that was quite a bit of money. You worked on that cow. That's my cow. But this kid came up to the fence, and I'm looking at him. He's looking at me. He goes, "What's up, dude?" And just like I just said to you. And I was like, "What's up, man?" And he's like, "Not a whole lot, dude." I'm like, "Man, you speak really good English." He's like, "Oh, thanks, bro. My dad's got satellite TV." I guess he was one of the rich kids, and the kids always told him he never comes over. Like he would never. I've never seen him before. I'm like, "What's your name?" And he goes, "Oh, my name is Jeremy." I'm like, "Oh, dude, my name is Jeremy." He's like, "Oh, what's up, man?" And he goes, "I want to go to Texas A&M." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You need a job in here, man. You speak great English." I'll never forget Jeremy, who wanted to go to Texas A&M. I wonder if he ever made it. It would be awesome if he did. But that's something too. That's something I have to think about too. Is that you interacted with people on a daily basis, which I did. I saw some of these kids on a daily basis for a year, and you watch them grow up, and it's. I talked to some of these kids for a long time. One name was Otay Bear. Talked to him for a long time. He knew my name. I knew his. He knew Sip very well. He knew him as Danny. And Jeremy and Chase. He knew Chase. And there was a bunch of us that I'm never going to see this kid again. I never knew what happened to him, if he's okay, if he's alive. That was 11 years ago. So if he was 6 or 7 at the time, he's 18 or 19. Tina, it's interesting is I had just started to get a hold of some old Army buddies again. What I did was I got my Fort Knox book out, and I started contacting, going through Facebook and finding people that I went to basic training with and finding out what they're up to and reconnecting with some of my friends from basic training. That's all been within the last week or so. I actually just started doing that. As far as hanging out with other Army buddies, I've had 1 or 2 come by the house and say hi and everything. Sip's really the only one, though. He's the only guy that I stay in contact with. I talk to Sip at least once on the daily. At least once a day. Maybe we go 3-4 days without talking at most. But I always call, check in on Sip, see what he's up to. Just booked his ticket. So he's going to come visit. Got that all covered. But yeah, Sip's really the only one. But, I got it. He's a good friend, and that's all I really needed was my one battle buddy. And I got my battle buddy. Sip's much older than me, too. I don't know if you guys obviously knew that or not. Well, I shouldn't say you guys. Who else is here? I'm still wondering who this other person just hanging out is. It makes me wonder. Happy they're here. I didn't expect to have 2 people. I was really expecting to be a blank audience today because it's so early. It's 5:40 in the morning here. So, yeah. Sorry. Yawning doesn't mean I'm tired. It means my brain needed to cool down. That's actually what it means. If you didn't know that little fun fact. It's your body's way of regulating your brain temperature. But the reason that a lot of people have that happen when they're tired is because when you start breathing, when you're falling asleep, your body is trying to lower your respiration rate, how much you're breathing, right? So it's trying to bring that down. However, when you're no, I won't be taking a nap. I'm going to stay up all day today until tonight, and then I'm going to sleep. I'll sleep tonight. And then tomorrow I have to go to Nashville to the doctor to get fitted for my futuristic machine. Yeah, it's just going to be easier. So, I'll be half man, half Darth. I'm going to get my Darth Vader machine tomorrow. So, looking forward to that. And then, yeah, that's today's plan, though. I think the flu turned into a little bit of a respiratory condition. What's that? A CPAP machine. I gotta get a CPAP machine. So it's my lungs are fried from breathing in all the stuff in at the burn pits. So this is all destroyed. That's why I cough so much. Hey, good morning, Ash. How you doing, bud? You having a good morning or afternoon? Sorry, I've been missing your live streams. I saw you came on the other one, and I was like, oh, please still be on, and I jumped over to see your special guest, and no, you had already gone off, so I saw you hanging out there with your son, though. That was cool, man. Good stuff. Trust me, I'm checking them out if I miss them. I still catch them. And Evie tells me, she's like, oh, I stopped in, so as long as we're always checking them out and keeping up with what's going on with you, never want to miss them. Ooh. Well, looks like we're all starting to come alive a little bit. You guys are waking up. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Ow. My jaw just popped. Nell what? Oh, okay. Very cool. Rock on, Ash. That's what I'm talking about. So, what can we talk about for this early morning? So, what else do you have planned? You're doing your editing of the video. Are you going to be shooting today at all, Ash, or is that just are you holding off? What's on the game plan for you? Now, I know when I get done the VA, my boss, I hate to say my boss because he's really, I don't really, the record business guy, he wants Evie and I to stop by at this hotel for a conference concert or something like that, and we're supposed to go hobnob with some people there. I don't know how comfortable I feel wanting to do that. I really don't want to. But I know that he wants me to. But I don't know if we are. I may just skip that. Just sounds like a little bit more... Yeah. I don't know. I do need to talk to him, make sure everything is being set up well on all of the... you guys been doing some GTA? That's good stuff. Getting into some gaming. That's what I'm talking about. Always good, always good. Okay. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. There you go. Yeah. Now you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I got to get one of those. A nebulizer. That's what you guys call them. We call them a CPAP. I don't know what it stands for. Something like that. But they're giving me this high with... It doesn't have liquid. No liquid. It just... it compresses oxygen out of the air. Gives you a puff of oxygen. Well, yeah. I figured I'm gonna have to get one, and the Army's gonna cover it for me because, yeah, I do need to get a hold of the burn pit. There's a class action lawsuit going on, and yeah. Some rough times. Oh yeah. I won't have to wear it all the time. That's good. Just when I sleep mostly. So, that's good. But basically, it uses its own self. It doesn't have to. You don't have to have oxygen tanks. It separates and does it all internally, and that gives you a little poof, a little oxygen. So, yay, right? See, now Darth Vader makes sense, huh? A little shot of water. There we go. Well, you know what? This is weird. If I wasn't live, or if there was a way just to let you only, Tina and Ash, see it, I could read you one of the first chapter from the book. The problem is, though, is then I'd have to take this video down because I'd only want you guys to know. What a tease, huh? What a tease. I don't know. If you didn't know, Tina, I'm working on a sci-fi book. I've been working on it for probably about a year now. Haven't been... See? Now more people are showing up. It's a good thing I didn't start Ooh, I was close. I almost started. Then everybody would have heard, and then I would have been in trouble because then it would have been plagiarized and I would have lost it. Whew. So thank you guys for showing up. I could have gotten bad quick. I could have lost my book. But I'm going to work on it. I think this year is the year I want to get at least the rough draft of everything finished this year. That's my goal. Probably can do it in 6 months. Sit down and really just bang it out. Probably could do it in an overnighter if I just ignored YouTube for like 2 days, 3 days. I could sit and knock it out, but I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. But I should. I really should just sit down and really just knock it out. Then we'd have it done. New York bestseller right off the bat. I can see it now. Someone in my comments, I want to read this real quick, and I thought it was quite odd. Let's see. Oh, thank you. So this person told me that I'm generally an unlikable character. Generally unlikable character. Now, Gary was nice enough to come to my defense, and he said, don't judge it on one live stream. And I just thought it was funny because the person's name is Arnold, so all I could think was, hey, Arnold! So that's all I could go for. 10,000 subs? You guys are going to pull it off. Man, I'd be happy if I could get to 3,000 subs this year. We'll have some more live. I'm going to be doing some more. It's got to wait for it to warm up around here. I'm gaining subscribers. I'm losing subscribers, but I don't know how it works out. It says I'm always losing, but I'm always gaining. It's back and forth and back and forth. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but okay. If I'm always gaining, but I'm always losing. I don't know how that works. But it almost evens out that it's never going quite anywhere. I'm just up and down. I've been stuck in the 1330s for months now. It goes up, it goes down. But that's okay. Subscribers, like I said, I'd rather have quality. See, I'm not gaining as much. You know, I'm gaining, but not gaining as much. But that's okay. I guess it's got to go somewhere. It's not going completely negative, so that's a good thing. I still see some great faces coming to hang out every morning or every stream, so I can't complain there. I get a nice super chat once in a while. Can't complain there. And yeah, I mean, I'm well within all my YouTube parameters still, hitting my marks. So I'm not gonna make a fuss about something that doesn't necessarily need to make a fuss. I guess I'm growing at a substantial rate. Not losing, not growing isn't negative, isn't bad. So I'm gonna say that it's doing well. Boy, I had to just jumble through that one, huh? Like the magnet fishing video, the one is doing very well, and if I start seeing a very large response out of it, like you and well, I'm seeing a decent response out of it clearly, but if I see like the one you and Brad had with the police magnet fishing thing, that one's starting to grow. I mean, so if that one can do something similar to that one, then I'll be in business to do more magnet fishing. I just want to see what's going to be the best for the direction and something I enjoy doing. So this seems to be what's being viewed the most is that one video. I mean, it's at another 500 and something views this last 2 days. Can't complain about that. Not at all. And it looked like it was going to die off, but it dies off and then it jumps back up every so often. Obviously, I had a really big boost on it about 48 hours ago, probably more like 36 hours ago. It had a really big boost in views for 4 or 5 hours. You know, I don't know. It's different for a lot of people. I've known people in the Army. Since I've been in the Army, I've lost two buddies additionally to suicide. Uh, I've had one guy, a buddy of mine, who was shot down and murdered. Who was in the Army. So I don't know if necessarily my experiences through the military and what I've gone through and coping with it would be the same for so many others. The base I was on was uniquely in a position that we got mortared more generally than others, but I would think that there would be some people there. I'm also starting to find out that I'm also in a very rare class of it, um, where I did both. Both wars are starting to become something where you don't see a lot of that. It's either they went to Iraq or just Iraq several times, but it's very rare to find someone who did both campaigns. I guess it would be like doing Normandy and like the Pacific at both campaigns like that. And don't get me wrong, it was two different ball fields. The game was changed. Um, my experience in Iraq didn't translate to what I needed for the skills for Afghanistan. It was a completely different experience. One deployment tested my mind, and one deployment tested my body. And I'd say I passed the test, but it cost quite a bit. But I don't know again how I would write that down and how I've coped with things because I don't know if I'm necessarily coping. I deal with my problems in my way, and I don't know how to. I've never been good at conveying and teaching others. Teaching is not something I was ever a strong suit at. Surprisingly, I can't teach because I don't know. I just can't teach. It's just not my strong suit. I know how to do things, but I don't know how to relay that information as well as I would like to. In a way that others can understand. It's sometimes harder for me to break it down for me to explain it to somebody than it is for me to just do it. So I generally just do it. And I'm not the kind of person that likes to show my work. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how'd you get the number? Like, what does it matter how I got the number? Did I get it? Yeah, you got it. Okay, then. Don't worry about how I got it. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. But, I'd have to find a publisher who would want to cover that. And that might be a little more tricky. That would be a little more tricky than there's a lot of source material already available for veterans for things like that. The VA does have a big program for assistance and stuff like that. So there are a lot of really interesting books, and there's other aids out there. It might be useful, maybe if I just did it as an online thing. That could be an easy way. Download a small PDF or something and find a way to publish it, make it accessible. That could be done. If I ever did, I had thought about writing a book about my time in the military and my deployments and the people I met. And I was going to call the book Walking with Giants. And I thought that would be a good idea. It felt like sometimes that I was walking with some very amazing people that I served in the military with. And sometimes it made me feel a little small. But at times, though, it was always embarrassing. I don't know why I felt almost embarrassed when I would walk through the airport and rounds of applause and stuff. It made me feel uncomfortable. It was like, I'm not doing anything special. This is a job. So I don't know. And maybe that's the mindset of it's not as glorious as it looks on TV. It's a lot of just sweat and dirt and just tired and long days. But there's really not so much worthy of clappery. But I know people want to have a good image of them, and it makes them feel good, and I understand that. So I understand that they need to do that for them, and that's good, and it's respectful, But it was always embarrassing. Or there was one time I was on a flight, and when we landed, they said, "Hey, we have a soldier on board, and we ask that everyone please remain seated so that he can deplane first." And I'm sitting there, I'm like, "Oh God, no, please no." And I was like, no, guys, just done there. No, come on up, come on up. I was like, oh, fuck. Okay. So I had to grab my bag and walk to the front, and I'm standing there, and people are all eyes on. I'm like, oh God, no. And they open the door, thank you everybody, I appreciate it. And you're trying to, I stayed very respectful, but there, I remember always in my head, I used to be screaming, no, 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 no. But yeah, okay, thank you. And yeah, I never thought it was anything brave or worthy of it. It was a job. I needed a job. And yeah. Was I happy about my military time? Of course. I learned a lot. Um, it was totally worth it. What'd you say there? I missed it. Sorry. Let's see. Well, I guess so. But see, I'm the kind of person though where I'll talk to you direct. People think that I talk angrily. I'm like, I'm not talking angrily. I'm talking very direct to you so that there is no misunderstanding of what I am saying. And a lot of people take it as that I'm being aggressive, and it's not. So I want there to be no mistake in my point being made. And I guess people aren't used to that, so I don't have this idea of bottling things up. I tell people what I think about things, and if I know I'm right on something, I won't let it go. But if I'm wrong, I also have no problem admitting when I'm wrong and I don't know something. That's the difference. But I will find out. I will find out and I will know, and I don't want to make that mistake again. So if I'm wrong on something, I want to learn it so I'm not wrong again. Nothing wrong with being wrong. It's, yeah. Oh, very straightforward. Very direct, very blunt. No sugarcoating. Just offer it like it is. And I know it's kind of, it's almost sour for some people. Well, Patrick, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure you probably labeled as high risk. I don't know what constituted your PTSD, and nor would I ever want to lessen it. So I don't want to comment on that, and I have no idea how the severity of yours. But with mine, it's this. It's a never-ending tired feeling mentally. It's that's the word, is always, always. And I don't think people understand. Oh, well, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, when I was in college, I was in a gas station and they robbed it at got robbed at gunpoint. I was just standing there waiting to pay, and I look over and there's a 9mm in my face. It didn't register even at first what was going on, and I think to myself sometimes, like, if the guy didn't think I was taking him serious, and I just went back because that's what I did. I looked over, went back to what I was doing. Then I was like, oh crap! I realized, what if he'd have tried to make a point right there? I don't know. There are a lot of instances like that. I've had another instance. I'm sure would cause a little bit of PTSD in my life, and I don't discuss it a whole lot with people, but it sucks. Uh, oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that, Patrick. That sucks, buddy. Hey, at least you lived through it, man. That's what's good. I witnessed a suicide in front of me when I was a kid, family member. So that's been something. The robbery, I'm sure. Iraq was a big one for me. A lot of people getting hurt there. Saw some people get blown up, and it's different. It's hard to explain. Is you don't. It doesn't look like it looks on TV. It looks fake. When you see it, you're like, that doesn't even look right. It just doesn't register what's going on, and then it's later you see, but people don't realize that it's because of that, the hypervigilance, that the always on thing, is the military taught us how to turn this kill mode on. And not necessarily, when I say kill mode, do I mean you're going to go out and kill somebody, but they turn this attitude on of how this hypervigilance can be tapped into. But what they don't teach you is how to turn it off. And that's what the problem is. And again, though, what is PTSD? PTSD is an overhypering of the adrenal gland. And when it gets over exercised for so long that your brain can't regulate anymore how much adrenaline to pump correctly. And at times, the smallest little thing can turn into go mode. And it's that's def once you turn it on, trying to control yourself in a public environment is almost insane. Um, and it can happen with the smallest of things. And then trying to calm down from it is not easy. My whole night can be ruined in a second. That nothing feels right again, and nothing will be right. The room has changed. The atmosphere has become heavy. There's a haze now. Things like that happen. And all you want to do is you want to be somewhere safe. And safe is where there's no people. That's why I couldn't do my stand up anymore. It was getting too difficult. One little thing, I didn't expect hecklers, and there was like a reaction once to one I wanted to do, and I didn't know if I was going to. It ruined everything, and I knew, I was like, this isn't going to work. And I really wanted to do stand up. I really, really did. But it just didn't, I couldn't do it. And that sucks. But you have to work around things like that, I guess. You know what, though? I was well aware. Come from a military family. There was nothing that blindsided me. I signed up for it voluntarily. It was all volunteer. They do have a system to take care of it should something come up, so I'm at least very grateful for that. But it was my choice to sign up, and I had my own reasons, and I fulfilled my reasoning. I got what I needed out of it. You know, when people want free college, there's a way to get free college. It takes 3 years to get 4 years of free schooling. It's not a bad trade-off, and they'll pay you while you do it. I don't think people realize there's a lot of benefits to joining the military, and if more realized what they can do once they're in, I think a lot more people would be happily joining up the military. It's not all fighting and bang bang either. There's a lot of other things that go on in the military. You have no idea. There's so much that goes on, like on a daily. Different things. There's always something going on. Something different. You're here, you're there. You're showing up at 0 dark 30. Training on this, playing with that, learning this, showing up for schooling on that, driving this, running here, running there. Oh, man. Yeah. If I thought about trying to join now, well, my body I don't think would be as torn up as it is if I had decided to join now. I still think I could if I hadn't gone in the first time. Oh, the Army was a blast. Drove some big vehicles, shot some big guns, played with some really cool toys, met some awesome people, had some amazing adventures, traveled all over the world. Good stuff. Been to several countries that I never thought in the world that I would ever go to, even if it was just the airport. And that counts. You got off the airplane, you went to the country. That's the rule I've always told. My family always went off of. My dad told me that if you get off the airplane in that country, it counts. So if you give, if they just land for a refueling, that doesn't count. You have to get off the airplane. So even if it's just to board and go to another terminal, you got off the airplane, you've been there. So yeah. Romania. Went to Romania. I went to a country I'd never heard of. They told us it was under the we traveled. We didn't have passports. We didn't need them, but we didn't travel under government transportation. They used commercial airlines to get us into country, into Kuwait, and from Kuwait then we flew via. Well, see, it was different. Iraq was different. We landed in Kuwait for Iraq, and then we C-130'd into Iraq. Or we landed in Kuwait and C-130'd into Iraq from Kuwait. In Afghanistan, we flew into Romania. From Romania, we flew into Kyrgyzstan. From Kyrgyzstan, and that was all on a civilian flight. And then from Kyrgyzstan, we C-17'd into Afghanistan. And then we landed at Camp Marmel, which was a German base, and then from there we took German helicopters to our location. So we were hopping. Afghanistan was a long time on an airplane. I think it was like something like total like 26 hours to get there. So yeah, long time on the airplane. Iraq with I think 19 hours on the airplane. Oh yeah, we didn't have to do anything. They just told us where to go. We had our military IDs, and that got us. That was in and out of the country with our military IDs. Boop, 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 boop. That's all we needed. Yep. So man, yeah, we bounced all over. Yep. We coordinated with other militaries. Um, when we left Afghanistan, I flew out on Canadian helicopters back to the German base to catch a C-17 to Kuwait. From Kuwait, we caught a civilian airliner to Ireland, Ireland to Vermont, Vermont to California. Yeah. So it was just all over to get back. Hours on the plane. I loved it. I loved it. The ride home was always the best. That was the best flight in the world. The ride home. Comfy, cozy, you're done. No more work. And then you get back, and as you step off the plane, uh, and see, that's not going to happen. And that's because one more of Iraq, that can't happen. Um, one more thing of Iraq. Yep, no kids coming. So, uh, that's radiation. See, that was from the other video when we talked about the radiation. Where do I see myself going in the next 10 years? I will be reclusing to a private compound that I am going to be purchasing and setting up for myself. So I'm going to be pulling back. Leave the cities, get into the countryside more, have my own piece of property, and we're working on, I've got all this in the works. Bother nobody. Just be out in the country by myself. Bother nobody. Nobody will bother me, and I won't bother them. But the great part is you land. We landed from Afghanistan back at California, and they landed us in a secret airport. And the unit. Oh yeah, well, it's gonna have definitely running water. That's one of the plans. Is I already made sure I have to have a piece of property with running water on it. Even if it's just a little stream or a brook in the back that runs somewhere on the property, just have to have it. And so you land, and you got your gear, and they're getting you off the plane. And what's called Rear D in the Army is called the Rear Detachment. So what it is there's a few people that don't deploy with us, and their job is to stay in the rear and man the skeleton crew. That if something happens that you need assistance in the rear to take care of, they're there to do it for you, and they're in constant communication with us, so that if something's happening, we have information from that's going on. Lock, stock, and ready to rock, huh? So when we land, the Rear D is there, and you have your rifle, and it's the first time where you're going to hand your rifle back and not have your rifle. And the funniest thing is like for the longest time, we had gotten back once, and it was like 4 days later, and I was hanging out with Sip, and Sip goes, dude, watch this. And we're getting up walking somewhere, and he turns to this kid, goes, dude, where's your rifle? And you see this kid start freaking out looking for his rifle. And it was so funny. And I think it's kind of like why a lot of veterans want to buy these AR-15s, and people think that they're crazy and stuff like that. It's become almost a safety blanket. It's your blanket. And that's really what it is you're used to always having it. I did it myself when I got back. We were walking out of a restaurant, and I was like, oh, crap. And I ran back in to go find my weapon. I thought I'd forgotten it. And it's something that it took me months to stop doing that. Stop looking for my rifle. Because, boy, you don't want to be caught without your rifle, and you don't go anywhere without your rifle. And you always had a magazine on you with you at all times, you know? Always. You go to eat, you bring your weapon, and you bring a rifle. You bring your magazine and and your rifle. You always have your 30 rounds with you, and your body armor may not be necessarily with you at all times. We don't wear body armor constantly either, though. Like most of the time, I only wore body armor when I was at work, when I was at my workstations. But for the most part, and even sometimes then, I didn't wear my body armor. It was just nearby if I needed it. Um, so yeah, maybe someday I'll write all this down. Who knows? Maybe I'll make a video diary about it, and I'll just try to. Maybe I'll make a script, and I'll read out episodes of it and talk about stuff. Start from the beginning, from basic, what I can remember, and different experience and things. There's just so much stories of people you've met and experiences we went through and things that you've seen. There's just so much. And it's different in everything, and every story can lead to another one, and another one can lead to this, and it would be endless. It could really be endless in just one small short career. And there's it was an interesting time. It was an interesting time. It gave a very unique perspective on the world, and I don't think a lot of people can relate to it, and it's why they don't understand, and why a lot of people come off as misunderstood veterans about things. Is I think a lot of it comes to do with they have to unplug you. You have to be unplugged from the system to be in the military. And then once they unplug you, you can't unlearn what you learned. And you learn things about things. And you can't convey it to others to make them understand how the world really works on some issues. But they just don't understand, and they're still plugged in. And it's really hard for them. They don't want to be unplugged, and they don't want to. It's not that they don't want to. They don't want to be unplugged. Is they don't know they're plugged in. You don't know you're plugged in until you've been unplugged, and that's the catch about it. And when I say unplugged, is they pulled you out of the stream of information that you were in, and like I probably didn't watch TV for like 2 years. And I didn't even realize that I had gone that long without really watching TV. 2 years. Like, whoa. Didn't miss it at all. Didn't realize it. And then I probably went another, like watching live TV or something. I stopped watching live TV for the longest time. Can't remember like when I would sit and I didn't watch TV shows for probably a good 3 years at least. Maybe see maybe movies were, we saw a lot of movies, but you get unplugged from all this mainstreamness. Okay, absolutely. Well, I was getting ready to jump off of here too. I was just going to do an hour, and I appreciate you hanging out and listening to this weird early morningness. We take it easy, Patrick. You get some rest, man. Do good at school, all that childcare and whatnot. Whoop. Uh-oh, Peanut's dreaming. Yep, he's going to get it. All right, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. This was just, come on and hang out for a little bit in the morning kind of thing. Get you guys again ready that Joe and a J will be back. The Joe and a J morning show, which I think is very confusing. I loved it. It was so funny when people thought that Sip's name was Joe, and then to find out that J-Man and Joe are Joe and Jay as well. We weren't going with that route at all, but ours, it makes sense, but I wasn't going that route, and I didn't know at the time Joe's name was Joe. So, that was a rhyme. Joe's name was Joe, so, uh-oh. But yeah, all right, I'm going to get out of here. This was just an early stream. I still think I'll be probably back tonight for a later live stream around 4 o'clock-ish, usual live stream time. Probably do another hour then, and I'll jump back in with you guys at a later time. So thanks for stopping by and wasting some of your time, your life with me here. Later.